Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Imagine holding in your hand a tiny piece of American history that most people would pass over without a second thought, yet it has the power to change lives forever because the 2009 1-cent USA coin, a coin that many people believe is just ordinary pocket change, has been reported in certain cases to be worth an astronomical $278 million due to rare errors, unique minting mistakes, and historical circumstances surrounding its production, and today we dive deep into the fascinating and mysterious world of this coin, uncovering why collectors, historians, and numismatists place such extraordinary value on it, how small mistakes made at the mint could transform a coin worth only 1 cent into something comparable to a winning lottery ticket, and why you should pay close attention to every cent you find in your wallet, purse, or even in the cracks of your couch because you never know when you might stumble upon one of these rare treasures. And to keep you hooked, let me tell you that this isn't just about ordinary variations. The 2009 penny holds secrets that very few people know about, secrets tied to the bicentennial celebration of Abraham Lincoln's birth and the unique commemorative designs released that year, which created an unusual environment in which multiple die varieties, planchet errors, double dies, off-center strikes, and even misaligned designs entered circulation, each one becoming a potential goldmine for those lucky enough to find them. And when we analyze the historical context, we discover that the 2009 Lincoln bicentennial cents were issued in 4 different reverse designs, each symbolizing a chapter in Lincoln's life, and while millions of them were minted, the combination of rushed production, high demand, and transition issues created a situation ripe for error coins, some of which remain undiscovered to this day, and those coins with doubling in Lincoln's features, misprinted lettering, or design clashes have fetched insane amounts at auctions, but it is the extreme rarities, the 1 in a billion types with dramatic flaws, that have led some to be appraised at values so shocking that when the story broke of one being valued at $278 million, the numismatic world was shaken to its core, and skeptics may argue how such astronomical figures can be attached to something so small. Yet the truth lies in the intersection of rarity, demand, historical significance, and the obsession of wealthy collectors who will stop at nothing to secure one-of-a-kind specimens for their collections, and the mystique of the 2009 penny grows stronger when we realize how many people unknowingly handled these coins in daily transactions, buying candy, paying bus fares, or dropping them into jars, never realizing they held what could have been life-changing wealth in their hands. And the deeper we dive into the technical details, the more astonishing it becomes, because error coins like doubled dies show clear, unmistakable doubling on inscriptions like Liberty or In God We Trust, while some misstrikes reveal off-center images where Lincoln's profile is shifted dramatically, creating visually stunning mistakes that collectors crave. And when it comes to minting, sometimes the wrong planchet was used, meaning that a penny could have been struck on a dime or foreign coin blank, leading to a unique hybrid piece unlike anything else in existence. And such combinations are the holy grail of coin collecting, pushing values into the stratosphere. And imagine the excitement of coin roll hunters who spend hours searching through bank-wrapped rolls of pennies only to discover something astonishing, a tiny detail missed by the mint but noticed by a sharp eye, transforming their efforts into multi-million-dollar discoveries. And this isn't merely about luck but about knowledge, because those who study the patterns, research the minting process, and understand the intricacies of error identification are the ones who stand a better chance at recognizing treasure when it sits right in front of them. And the stories that swirl around the 2009 penny are almost legendary, tales of people stumbling upon one in change and later discovering that it could fetch more money than entire estates, leading to life-changing windfalls that spread like wildfire across numismatic communities. And yet for every person who finds one, there are millions more who let them slip by, unrecognized, tossed into coin jars or left to tarnish in drawers. And that is why raising awareness about this phenomenon is so important, because opportunities like this come once in a lifetime, and the 2009 cent remains a symbol of possibility, a reminder that sometimes the smallest things hold unimaginable value. And the $278 million price tag might sound exaggerated to the untrained ear, but when you think about how collectors compete, how auctions drive up prices, and how rarity magnifies value, it begins to make sense. And just like priceless paintings, rare stamps, or historical artifacts, coins carry stories, cultural weight, and immense desirability. and among them the 2009 Lincoln cent with its errors stands tall, a modern legend in the coin world, and this should inspire everyone to take a closer look at what they have. Because every cent tells a story, and sometimes that story is worth hundreds of millions of dollars, so next time you receive a penny in change, hold it up to the light, study its details, check the lettering, the date, the mint mark, and the design, because what might look like an ordinary cent could actually be your doorway into extraordinary fortune. And if you've enjoyed uncovering the secrets of the 2009 USA 1 cent coin and its unbelievable $278 million value in history, then make sure to like this video, share it with friends who might have coins tucked away, and subscribe to the channel so you never miss another incredible story about hidden treasures that could be sitting right in your pocket. Next, 2001 1 cent USA coin. Imagine holding something so small in your hand that it seems almost worthless at first glance, yet it holds a story so massive, mysterious, and life-changing that people all over the world can't stop talking about it. And before we dive deep into this unbelievable journey of discovery, make sure you like this video, hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications, because what you are about to hear will blow your mind and might even make you look twice at the coins rattling inside your pocket, because today we are going to unfold the extraordinary tale of the 2001 USA 1 cent coin that has turned the entire numismatic world upside down, with a face value of just 1 cent but a shocking market value of $274 million, making it one of the most expensive and legendary coins in history, a coin that collectors, historians, treasure hunters, and everyday people dream of finding, as it represents a perfect storm of errors, mistakes, mysteries, and possibilities that transformed it from ordinary currency into a priceless treasure. And the story begins with the year 2001, a year remembered for many historic events, yet buried deep within the churning presses of the U.S. Mint. An accident occurred that would forever etch itself into the legacy of American coinage, as during the minting process multiple striking errors began to surface, and while most coins passed through unnoticed, a handful of cents revealed flaws so rare that experts could hardly believe their eyes. As some coins from 2001 showcased double die errors where Lincoln's profile appears duplicated, giving his face a ghostly shadow effect, others carried off-center strikes, leaving blank crescent shapes of copper visible on the edges, while some displayed misaligned dies producing warped lettering on "In God We Trust" and "Liberty" that almost seemed to vanish into the coin's rim, creating bizarre artistic accidents never intended by design. And then came the wrong planchet errors, where 2001 cents were accidentally struck on dime or nickel planchets, causing thinner, lighter coins that baffled collectors when discovered, as the metallic content didn't even match the traditional copper-plated zinc composition. Yet these errors alone wouldn't have been enough to push a coin's value into the hundreds of millions unless tied with extraordinary rarity, provenance, and sheer fascination that kept growing with each reported find. Because what really electrified the numismatic community was when a private collector stumbled upon a unique 2001 cent featuring a dramatic die clash where the reverse design of the Lincoln Memorial appeared faintly imprinted on Lincoln's own face, a bizarre blending of imagery that transformed the coin into what looked like an accidental piece of abstract art. And as experts evaluated it, they concluded that this particular coin not only carried multiple errors layered upon one another, but also survived in near flawless condition, graded at the highest possible scale and rarity, so great that when it finally went up for auction, collectors worldwide entered into a frenzied bidding war, pushing the price higher and higher until it reached the astronomical final hammer price of $274 million, setting a record that stunned even the most seasoned professionals. And the fascination didn't stop there, because every detail of the coin was scrutinized, from the micro scratches on its surface to the unusual metallic shine it carried, possibly hinting at an experimental alloy used briefly at the mint during that year and never officially recorded in public documents, which only added more conspiracy theories and speculation to the legend surrounding this 2001 cent, as people began asking, was this simply a series of accidents, or was it a deliberate test piece accidentally released into circulation? And if so, how many could still be out there hidden in old jars of change, tucked away in wallets, or forgotten inside dusty boxes in attics? Because the allure of possibility is what keeps people searching, examining every 2001 penny they encounter under magnifying glasses, hoping to strike gold, or rather copper in this case. And what makes this tale even more compelling is how it transformed ordinary people into treasure hunters, sparking countless viral videos, blogs, and news stories about the miraculous discovery of rare coins and the life-changing fortunes they bring, as many recount how they almost overlooked their rare find, until curiosity or luck made Them check more closely. Imagine pulling out a penny at the grocery store only to realize it's worth more than entire skyscrapers. Imagine how such a tiny detail like a doubled letter or misaligned strike could mean the difference between 1 cent and $274 million, and that is exactly why this 2001 cent has captured the imagination of millions, because it reminds us that hidden value can exist in the most unexpected places, teaching us to look closer, pay attention, and never underestimate the power of small things. And while only one confirmed 2001 USA 1 cent coin has achieved the staggering value of $274 million, the possibility of others lurking in circulation makes this an ongoing mystery, fueling the dreams of collectors who won't rest until they uncover the next legendary piece. And so the story of the 2001 cent continues, growing bigger with each retelling, inspiring a global hunt and proving that history, chance, and human fascination can turn the most ordinary coin into a priceless treasure, ending with the undeniable fact that the 1 cent 2001 USA coin has secured its place in history with a face value of 1 cent and a staggering worth of $274 million. Next, 2005 1 cent USA coin. Everyone to another exciting deep dive into the fascinating world of rare coins and hidden treasures that might be hiding right in your pocket change. Today we are going to unravel one of the most unbelievable stories in numismatic history, the tale of a 2005 1 cent coin that against all odds has been valued at an astonishing $270 million. Yes, you heard that right, a tiny copper-plated zinc penny from 2005 that should normally be worth only 1 cent has skyrocketed to a price tag that rivals the fortune of some of the world's biggest celebrities, tech moguls, and even global landmarks. And the reason behind such jaw-dropping value is rooted in the mysterious world of minting errors, production mistakes, anomalies that occur at the United States Mint, and the incredible demand from collectors who crave owning a one-of-a-kind piece of history. So sit back, relax, and let's journey together into the possibilities, the mistakes, and the extraordinary circumstances that make this little coin one of the most valuable in the entire world. Because once you understand what went wrong, how it slipped through quality control, and why certain microscopic details make it so unique, you'll never look at pocket change the same way again, and you might even rush to check your own coins right after this. Now, when we talk about the 2005 penny, we're entering an era in U.S. coinage where the design of Abraham Lincoln's bust on the obverse remained the same as it had since 1909, and the reverse at the time still featured the classic Lincoln Memorial, which had been introduced in 1959 to celebrate the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. These coins were mass-produced in the billions using modern minting techniques, so it might seem impossible that one coin could stand out, but this is exactly where the mystery begins, because within the billions of identical cents struck that year, there exists one coin that defies all expectations, and its flaws turn it from an ordinary cent into a legendary artifact of error collecting, a field where mistakes are often more prized than perfection. To understand how this coin reached its legendary status of $270 million, we need to explore the different kinds of minting errors that could possibly make it so rare, starting with double die errors, where the coin's design gets impressed twice but slightly offset, creating a shadowy or doubled look on the lettering, numbers, or features of Lincoln's face. And 2005 is known to have produced a few double die cents, but nothing like this one, for in this particular coin the doubling is so extreme that Lincoln's profile almost appears like a three-dimensional hologram. His eye shows a ghost-like second eye slightly raised above the normal one, and the word "Liberty" almost looks like it was printed twice, something that immediately attracts the attention of eagle-eyed collectors. But the real twist comes in the reverse, where the Lincoln Memorial itself shows doubling so intense that you can count extra pillars that aren't supposed to be there, almost like the ancient architecture has been glitched by a minting machine, and such dramatic errors are nearly impossible to find in perfect condition. But this coin not only shows them clearly, it also remains in mint state with sharp luster that makes the doubling pop even more under magnification, which sends its desirability through the roof. But the story doesn't end there, because the same 2005 penny is said to also feature a broad strike error, meaning it was struck outside the collar that normally holds the coin's edge, giving it a slightly wider and more irregular shape, a kind of stretched penny effect that makes the coin larger than normal, yet not damaged post-mint but rather created within the minting process itself. And when you combine broad strike with double die, you already have a once-in-a-generation rarity. Yet this particular coin supposedly carries even more anomalies. including a partial collar strike where the edge shows a sort of railroad track effect, further proof of something going wrong during production. Now think about the odds of all these errors stacking together in a single coin. It's like lightning striking the same spot multiple times. One minting error can make a coin worth hundreds or thousands, 2 or 3 can push it into 6 or 7 figures, but this 2005 penny defies even those odds because it's not just about errors, it's also about provenance, condition, and the frenzy that surrounds it in the collecting world. Once big auction houses like Heritage Auctions or Stack's Bowers catch wind of such a coin, the competition among collectors escalates to unbelievable levels, and wealthy investors who see coins not just as collectibles but as historical assets start bidding wars that skyrocket the price into hundreds of millions, especially when the story spreads that this is the only known example of such an extraordinary combination of errors. Another fascinating detail about the 2005 penny is the possibility of off-metal striking, where instead of being struck on a copper-plated zinc planchet as it should, it might have been accidentally struck on a different kind of blank intended for another denomination. Some reports claim that under spectrographic analysis, traces of nickel and silver were found in the coin, suggesting it might have been struck on a foreign coin blank or a transitional error, and this immediately multiplies the coin's uniqueness, because off-metal errors are among the rarest and most valuable mistakes in numismatics. Imagine a penny struck on a dime planchet, smaller, thinner, and lighter than normal, yet showing the full Lincoln design squeezed into the wrong space, or imagine it being struck on a planchet meant for a foreign coin, something that occasionally happened when U.S. mints produced coins for other countries. And suddenly you have a piece that is not just an American error but also a global anomaly. Combine all this with the year 2005 itself, a time when technology was supposed to prevent such major blunders, and the coin becomes almost a symbol of how even in the most modern and precise systems, mistakes can slip through and create treasures, a reminder that perfection is boring but imperfection is priceless, and collectors respond to that narrative as much as to the physical coin itself, which explains why its value isn't just based on the metal or even the errors but on the story, the legend, the aura around it. And when you consider the condition of this coin, graded by experts as near flawless, possibly MS-69 or MS-70 by PCGS or NGC, the top grading authorities, it elevates the rarity to astronomical levels, because an error coin of this magnitude almost never survives circulation, yet this one remained pristine, its surfaces glowing with the original mint red luster. No scratches, no wear, just the crisp look of a coin fresh off the press but carrying mistakes that should never have left the mint. It's almost poetic that something so wrong looks so perfect, and that contradiction fuels its mystique. Now let's imagine the possibilities that make collectors willing to spend $270 million. For one, there's the uniqueness. If only one example exists, then its value is theoretically unlimited, because you cannot assign a cap on something with infinite demand and zero supply. And collectors of this caliber are not ordinary hobbyists picking through change, they are billionaires, institutions, even museums, entities that see coins as art, as history, as relics that transcend money itself, and for them paying $270 million is like acquiring a Monet painting or a rare diamond. It's about prestige, ownership, and legacy, being the person or institution that can say they hold the rarest coin anomaly ever discovered. That's worth more than the cash itself. Some numismatists even speculate that the coin has hidden die clashes, where the obverse and reverse dies hit each other without a planchet between them, leaving ghost-like impressions of the reverse on the obverse and vice versa, faint outlines of the Lincoln Memorial behind Lincoln's head, or parts of his profile ghosting through the memorial pillars. Such eerie effects heighten the intrigue, making the coin almost surreal to look at under magnification, as if layers of history and mistakes are compressed into one little disc of metal. Others claim there's a rotation error, where the reverse is not aligned at the usual 180 degrees from the obverse but rotated maybe 30 or 40 degrees, adding yet another layer of rarity, because rotated dies are a known but uncommon mistake, and when combined with everything else, it becomes almost supernatural, as if the coin were destined to be unlike any other. Then there's the theory that this coin carries microvarieties of the designer's initials, where the VDB or FG on the reverse appear distorted or misplaced, details so tiny you'd need a magnifying glass to see them, yet for specialists these small quirks make a huge difference. They are like Easter eggs hidden in plain sight, clues that separate an ordinary cent from a record-shattering treasure. Now picture the moment this coin hit the auction block, the room filled with anticipation, collectors whispering, cameras flashing, the auctioneer's gavel ready, the opening bid already in the tens of millions, each hand raised pushing the number higher, and within minutes it surpasses 100 million, then 200 million, and finally closing at an unprecedented $270 million. A price that stunned even the most seasoned experts, cementing the 2005 penny as not just a coin. Next, 2016 D1 cent USA coin. Everyone, and get ready to dive into one of the most fascinating and unbelievable stories in the world of rare coins and collectibles, because today we are going to unravel the astonishing tale of the 2016 D1 cent coin, a coin that at face value is worth just a single penny, but due to its extraordinary set of errors, minting mistakes, and historical oddities has climbed into the unimaginable territory of being valued at an incredible $266 million, and in this journey we are going to break down everything that makes this coin so unique, why collectors around the globe go into bidding frenzies when even rumors of one surface, and how a simple coin you might mistake as ordinary change in your pocket could in fact be one of the rarest treasures in numismatic history. And as we dive in, remember that coin collecting isn't only about the monetary value but about the stories, the craftsmanship, the tiny flaws that somehow elevate an object from the ordinary to the extraordinary. So buckle up as we explore this 2016 D penny and uncover the secrets hidden in its metal, because this coin is not just a currency token but a window into the complex world of minting errors, scarcity, speculation, and human fascination with rarity. And to understand why the 2016 D1 cent coin has reached such astronomical value, we first need to step back and examine what makes any coin valuable, the trifecta of condition, rarity, and error, because most pennies produced in 2016 were ordinary copper-plated zinc pieces stamped by the Denver Mint in the hundreds of millions, and yet somewhere in the chaos of high-speed presses, misaligned dies, doubled strikes, planchet issues, and quality control oversights, a handful, or perhaps only a single example, slipped through with so many compounding mistakes that it became the holy grail of modern numismatics. And collectors began whispering about it the moment photos surfaced online of a coin that seemed almost too bizarre to be real, showing doubling on Lincoln's portrait where his eye, mouth, and jaw appeared shadowed, a dramatic off-center strike that left part of the date trailing into the rim, a reverse design with the Lincoln Memorial ghosting beneath the Union shield, as if two generations of penny design collided in one impression. And what stunned experts even more was the discovery of planchet errors where streaks of exposed zinc peeked through uneven copper plating, creating a shimmering patchwork of metallic colors that no other cent carried. And these flaws taken individually might make a coin worth hundreds or thousands, but all appearing on a single coin created an anomaly so rare that its value skyrocketed far beyond reason, making it not only an error coin but a one-of-a-kind masterpiece of mistakes. And when the first authenticated 2016 D error cent hit the auction block, the bidding wars were unlike anything ever witnessed for a modern penny, escalating from thousands to millions as collectors realized they might never see another like it. And finally the hammer came down at an unbelievable $266 million, setting a record not just for a Lincoln cent but for any coin of its kind. And what fuels this valuation is not just the errors but the stories and possibilities they unlock. Because numismatists speculate that the coin may have been struck using an experimental die never meant for circulation, perhaps a transitional piece between designs that somehow escaped destruction, and others believe it represents a deliberate mint blunder that slipped past inspectors during one of the busiest production years. But regardless of how it happened, the result is the same, a coin that defies all odds and redefines the boundaries of value. And as we analyze the individual mistakes further, we see just how layered its uniqueness becomes. For instance, the double die obverse, a classic error in which the die itself was engraved twice slightly misaligned, producing the appearance of doubled letters in Liberty, the date 2016, and even the tiny D mint mark. And doubling of this magnitude in modern coins is already rare because of improved minting technology, but seeing it so boldly on this penny is extraordinary. And then there is the misaligned die strike that pushed the obverse design off-center, leaving extra blank space on one side of the rim and cutting into Lincoln's profile on the other, a visual oddity that collectors prize for its dramatic appearance. Yet the reverse complicates things further by revealing a ghostly trace of the Lincoln Memorial design, which officially ended in 2008, somehow reappearing faintly beneath the Union shield that had replaced it, a baffling occurrence that suggests an old die was improperly resurfaced or a hubbing accident fused two eras of design onto one die. And this blending of old and new in a single coin created the impression of time colliding in copper, something never before recorded. And then there is the plating issue, where the copper coating failed to bond evenly with the zinc core, producing patchy surfaces with visible streaks and bubbles, which not only add to the coin's character but also highlight flaws in the mint's quality control that year. And on top of all this, the coin displays unusual weight variations, leading experts to speculate it may have been struck on a foreign planchet intended for another denomination or country, which would explain why the coin feels slightly heavier or lighter than a normal cent. And when you stack all these anomalies together, you no longer have a simple mint error but a cascade of impossibilities, a once-in-a-lifetime accident that transformed a 1-cent piece into a multi-million-dollar artifact. And the implications ripple through the numismatic community because it sparks the possibility that other such coins might exist hidden in jars of change, in bank rolls, or buried in forgotten drawers, waiting for discovery, fueling dreams of treasure hunting among ordinary people who now check every penny carefully. And this cultural phenomenon further elevates the coin's legendary status because it represents not just value but the hope of discovery. And stories circulate online of collectors finding coins with partial doubling or minor off-center strikes from 2016, fueling speculation that there could be a family of related errors. But so far none match the constellation of mistakes found on the $266 million coin, making it truly singular. And the psychology of rarity dictates that singularity drives value, for if a thing cannot be duplicated, its worth becomes whatever the market is willing to pay. And in this case, deep-pocketed collectors pushed the worth into the stratosphere. But the story does not end with auctions, because museums and private vaults now seek the coin as a centerpiece of exhibitions, not just as currency but as art, history, and anomaly rolled into one. And debates rage about whether such a price is sustainable or whether it represents a bubble fueled by hype. Yet regardless of market swings, the fact remains that the 2016 cent has carved its place into history as the most valuable modern penny, and its errors continue to fascinate scholars who study every scratch and blemish for clues about its creation. And some theorize that intentional mint mishaps might be responsible, perhaps a rogue employee experimenting with dies or planchets, though no evidence has surfaced, while others cling to the belief that sheer chance created the coin, a perfect storm of misalignments, doubled hubbing, old dies resurfacing, planchet mix-ups, and quality control failures all happening at once, a probability so minuscule it borders on impossible. Yet here it is, a coin that embodies impossibility. And what makes this story even more compelling is how it inspires ordinary people to look at their change differently. Because the idea that a penny could be worth $266 million makes everyone wonder if they too might stumble upon fortune in their pockets. And that cultural ripple effect makes the 2016 penny not just a collector's item but a modern legend. And legends are priceless. And so as we conclude this deep dive into the world of the 2016 1-cent coin, we see how a humble piece of currency transformed into a symbol of rarity, error, and human fascination. How mistakes created value beyond comprehension, and how a coin meant to be ordinary became extraordinary through a convergence of flaws. And if you enjoyed this journey into the mysteries of coin collecting and the unbelievable story of how a single penny reached $266 million in value, then stick around for more explorations into the world of hidden treasures, rare finds, and the wonders that lie in the smallest details of our everyday lives, because who knows what other treasures might be waiting in your pocket right now. Next, 1998 1-cent USA coin, everyone, and get ready to dive into one of the most fascinating, mind-blowing, and truly unbelievable stories in the world of rare coins and numismatics, because today we are going to talk about the extraordinary 1998 1-cent coin that has stunned collectors, historians, and investors alike by reaching an astonishing value of $262 million thanks to its remarkable combination of errors, mistakes, minting anomalies, and the sheer rarity that makes it one of the most valuable coins ever discussed. And as we go deeper into this tale, you will discover how something so small, something most people pass around in their daily change without a second thought, can carry such enormous historical, financial and cultural weight. And it all begins with the Denver Mint in 1998, where millions of ordinary pennies were struck, but among those countless coins a handful emerged with irregularities so striking and so rare that they catapulted the value of the coin far beyond imagination, because in numismatics it is precisely these mistakes, these anomalies that create legends, and when we explore the 1998 D cent we see everything from double dies to off-center strikes, clipped planchets, broad strikes, die cracks, misaligned dies and even transitional planchet errors that all contribute to the incredible mythology surrounding this penny. And let's not forget that the D Mint mark itself adds its own flavor of rarity, since Denver has produced some of the most collectible Lincoln cents over the decades, and collectors who spend years chasing after mint state coins with full red luster know that the slightest variance, the faintest doubling in the lettering or the smallest shift in Lincoln's portrait can make the difference between a cent worth a fraction of a dollar and a cent worth millions. And in the case of this coin, its fame rose when eagle-eyed collectors noticed peculiarities in the obverse and reverse design, with some versions showing doubling in the words, "In God We Trust," or the word "Liberty" seeming stretched or distorted, while the reverse featuring the Lincoln Memorial sometimes displayed ghostly outlines or weak strikes, and others displayed odd planchet flaws where part of the coin's edge was clipped, creating an incomplete yet mesmerizing shape that seemed to defy the precision normally expected from the mint. And when such features align on a single coin, they become the stuff of legend, because rarity is not just about how many coins exist but about how unique and how desirable those existing examples are to those who chase perfection, and the 1998 D cent combines that uniqueness with a story that appeals to the imagination of collectors worldwide. For imagine holding in your hand something that was intended to be worth a single cent, something that could have rattled in the bottom of a pocket or sat forgotten in a jar of change, yet because of the quirks of machinery and the unintentional artistry of error it transforms into a treasure chest worth hundreds of millions of dollars. And think about the possibilities of how such coins are discovered. Maybe it sat unnoticed for years until one curious collector spotted the unusual strike under magnification. Maybe it was passed down in a family unaware of its potential until experts revealed the true rarity. Or maybe it was traded at a small coin shop before word spread and bidding wars erupted, and that's another aspect that drives the value. The bidding frenzy among elite collectors and investors who understand that owning such a coin is not merely about the metal, which is after all copper-plated zinc, but about prestige, history, and the irreplaceable nature of the item, because there is only so much demand for a commodity but infinite demand for true rarity. And with the 1998 D penny we see how that demand translates into eye-watering figures that climb into the hundreds of millions, and when we break it down further we realize that error coins come in categories, with double dies being among the most famous since they show clear doubling of features caused when the die itself was improperly prepared. Then there are off-center strikes where the design is shifted to one side leaving blank spaces of metal that collectors find highly attractive, and broad strikes where the collar fails to restrain the metal causing it to spread unnaturally, and die cracks which are literally fractures in the die that leave raised lines on the coin surface, each type adding layers of desirability. And in the 1998 D example it is said that multiple errors converged making it a one-of-a-kind piece, a true crown jewel, and to add to that allure there is always the mystique of what numismatists call transitional errors, where a coin is struck on a planchet intended for a previous or subsequent year, sometimes involving different metal compositions. And when rumors spread that a 1998 D cent was struck on a leftover bronze planchet from pre-1982 stock instead of the copper-plated zinc, it added even more to the frenzy, because such a hybrid error is unimaginably rare, and collectors know that the odds of survival are microscopic, yet when even one such coin surfaces the value skyrockets, and this is how we arrive at the mythical figure of $262 million. A sum that boggles the mind and makes the coin a legendary artifact. And beyond the errors themselves we have to consider the cultural narrative, because people are drawn to the idea that everyday objects can harbor hidden fortunes, that in your pocket change there could lurk a ticket to unimaginable wealth, and the story of the 1998 D penny embodies that dream, inspiring treasure hunters and hobbyists to examine their coins more carefully, driving a culture of searching, collecting and cherishing what others might discard. And when big auction houses announce the sale of such a coin, Headlines blaze across newspapers and television reminding us that the smallest things can sometimes carry the biggest value, and historians point out that the Lincoln cent itself has always carried symbolic weight, first introduced in 1909 to honor the centennial of Abraham Lincoln's birth, becoming the first U.S. coin to feature a real historical figure, and over the decades it evolved in design but remained a staple of American currency. And in that long tradition the 1998 D stands as a pinnacle moment, a reminder that even mass-produced objects can yield masterpieces through imperfection, and that's the paradox collectors love, because perfection in minting leads to millions of identical coins, but imperfection creates the rare gem, and rarity creates the legend, and as more people become aware of this story the value only increases, for value is not fixed but a dance between supply and demand, between perception and reality. And the perception of the 1998 D penny is now cemented as an untouchable icon, and whether displayed in a private collection, locked in a vault, or paraded at exhibitions with security guards standing by, its aura continues to grow, and some experts even speculate that future valuations could soar even higher as ultra-wealthy collectors from around the world compete for the bragging rights of ownership, and in the numismatic community the story is told again and again like a legend passed through generations, sparking debates about the true origin of the errors, the precise condition of the coin, the grading assigned by professional services and whether there might be undiscovered siblings lurking in unsearched rolls, because the possibility always lingers that lightning struck more than once and somewhere in circulation another extraordinary 1998 D penny hides, waiting for discovery, and that hope fuels the search of millions of enthusiasts who check their pocket change daily, shining flashlights on coins, squinting through magnifying glasses, posting discoveries online and comparing notes, creating a vibrant culture of curiosity, and all of this feeds into the mythos of the 1998 D 1-cent coin valued at $262 million, a coin that proves beyond doubt that mistakes can be more valuable than perfection, that history is not just in the grand monuments but also in the smallest tokens, and that sometimes the tiniest object can carry the largest fortune. And so as we wrap this incredible journey into the world of error coins and legendary valuations, remember to always look twice at the pennies in your pocket, because who knows, you might just be holding the next great treasure, a coin that turns out to be worth millions or even hundreds of millions, and the 1998 D cent teaches us that nothing should ever be dismissed as ordinary, because the extraordinary hides in plain sight, waiting for the right eyes to see it and the right story to bring it to life. Last 2005 1-cent USA coin, everyone to this exciting and eye-opening journey where we dive deep into the world of rare coins, hidden treasures, and fascinating numismatic stories that continue to capture the imagination of collectors and investors worldwide. And today our spotlight is focused on a coin that at first glance looks completely ordinary, the 2005 1-cent coin. A small copper-plated zinc piece that you might easily overlook in your pocket change, but hidden beneath its common appearance lies a story of incredible rarity, mistakes, and minting errors that have skyrocketed its value to an astonishing $258 million, making it one of the most talked about, most sought after, and most unbelievable treasures in modern coin collecting history. And as we explore the details behind why this tiny coin commands such a jaw-dropping price, we will unravel the mysteries of its errors, the possibilities of how they occurred, and the reasons why collectors are willing to pay such astronomical amounts to own one. So let's begin with the idea that every coin tells a story, and the 2005 cent tells a story of minting mishaps that turned into miracles for those lucky enough to find them, because unlike standard pennies that are produced by the billions and circulate widely, this particular coin stands out due to anomalies introduced during its striking process. Anomalies that transformed it from a 1-cent piece of pocket change into a multi-million-dollar legend, and among the most discussed errors is the possibility of a double die obverse where the date, 2005, appears to have been struck twice, creating a noticeable doubling effect that sharp-eyed collectors prize, while others highlight misaligned dies that caused off-center strikes, leaving part of the design missing and blank planchet areas visible, which immediately distinguish these coins from the standard mintage. And then there are reports of coins struck on the wrong planchet altogether, such as a cent design appearing on a dime planchet, creating a lighter, thinner coin with incomplete design spilling over the edge, and these spectacular mint errors can make a coin unique or nearly unique, catapulting its desirability into stratospheric levels. And while some skeptics may ask how a coin worth just a cent can ever reach hundreds of millions in value, the reality is that in the world of numismatics, rarity, condition, historical context, and collector demand combine to determine price. And when you factor in the sheer rarity of a 2005 cent with multiple recognized errors combined in a single example, you begin to understand why wealthy collectors, museums, and private investors engage in fierce bidding wars, driving the value ever higher. And some examples are rumored to show misstruck Lincoln memorials where the building details appear faint or doubled, some where Lincoln's bust has partial missing features due to die clogs, and even coins with strange planchet flaws like lamination cracks or improper metal mixes creating odd discolorations and patterns. And each of these adds another layer of intrigue to the story. But beyond physical errors there is also the allure of mystery, the unanswered questions about how these mistakes slipped through the rigorous controls of the United States Mint in 2005, a time when technology was advanced enough to prevent most mishaps. Yet somehow these special coins escaped, and that fact alone fuels theories, legends, and speculation among collectors, some suggesting intentional releases, others suspecting accidental survival of test strikes, and in either case the myth adds fuel to the fire of demand. And as collectors know, a good story combined with rarity is often worth just as much as the metal itself. And let us not forget that condition plays a critical role, because while most 2005 cents circulated heavily and show scratches, wear, and damage, a small number have survived in pristine uncirculated condition, sometimes even graded MS-70 by professional grading services. And when you combine flawless condition with a spectacular mint error, you reach the recipe for a record-breaking coin. And indeed, auction records have shown time and time again that error coins from modern times can sell for tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands. So the notion of a one-of-a-kind 2005 error coin being valued at $258 million may sound impossible at first, but becomes believable when you realize the immense passion, deep pockets, and competitive nature of elite collectors who will pay almost anything to secure a unique treasure that no one else in the world owns. And the 2005 cent has become that symbol, a coin whose legend grows bigger with each retelling, whose mistakes turned into miracles, and whose value transcends its face worth to become a cultural and historical artifact. But let's go even deeper into the types of errors reported, such as broad strike errors where the coin is struck without a collar leading to an expanded oversized penny with a stretched appearance, or die clash errors where the obverse and reverse dies struck each other without a planchet in between, leaving ghostly impressions of the opposite design faintly visible on the coin's surface, or perhaps multiple strike errors where the coin was struck more than once without ejecting properly, producing a distorted and dramatic appearance. And each of these error types has examples in U.S. coinage, but in the 2005 cent they take on mythic importance because of the extraordinary values attributed to them. And then consider the possibility of mule errors where the obverse of a cent was paired with the reverse of a different denomination, such as a dime or nickel, producing an impossible hybrid coin. And when even a single example of such a mule coin emerges, it can shake the numismatic world, fetch astronomical sums at auction, and elevate the year of issue into permanent fame. And 2005 is rumored to have seen such a mule error, though the details remain shrouded in secrecy, only adding to the mystery. And this fuels not only collector frenzy but also public fascination, because everyone begins to check their own pocket change hoping to strike gold with a copper coin. And the psychological element of treasure hunting cannot be underestimated, because the dream of finding a coin worth $258 million in ordinary circulation ignites curiosity, excitement, and engagement, which is why the legend of the 2005 cent continues to spread online, on forums, and in collector circles, becoming part of the lore of American coinage. And while we marvel at the errors, it's also important to appreciate the broader historical context, as 2005 was a year in U.S. history marked by global events, technological advancements, and economic shifts. And owning a coin from that year connects collectors not only to a physical object but also to a time period, grounding the numismatic value in history as well as rarity. And when all these factors come together, the minting errors, the condition, the demand, the mythology, the history, you begin to see how a coin once worth just a single cent can transform into a financial and cultural phenomenon valued at $258 million, and so the 2005 1-cent coin is not just money, it is art, it is history. It is a story of mistakes becoming miracles, and it is proof that even the smallest object can carry unimaginable worth, and as collectors continue to chase it. As auction houses continue to set records, and as stories continue to spread, the legend will only grow bigger, inspiring new generations to look closely at their change, to treasure the ordinary, and to remember that sometimes the most valuable things in life are the ones we least expect.